Okay, so up to Samach Bay. So last week we mentioned that the Kohanim got their special advantages. It's interesting because I'm not sure you didn't bring it down last week, but we know from last week's parsha that Shevet Levi also, because of their devotion at after the sin of the golden calf, they were merited getting this eternal unique status. But so obviously there are many cases where this takes place. But Tzadok was a Kohen, perhaps he focused on Kohanim. So anyway, Malos Harba Yesh, there are many advantages which can be acquired. Kulam Zohar Kvar Gedolei Adoros, and all of them were already acquired by the greats of the generation. V'not Lum, and took them. V'zochul Bnei Machrem, and bestowed them as a heritage on their children after them, and their descendants after them. Mal Hashem Yisrael. So he starts with the advantage of the name Yisrael, which was invented, of course, for and was merited by Zochar Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu took it. The Zochar is our Achav, and he bestowed it on his children after him. Fuganki Kama Madregos Bilti Sufik. Now, there are many levels in the name Yisrael, without a doubt. Like any other level, any other advantage. Minapacha should be sold from the lowest in Israel. Ataris and Madrega up until the highest and greatest level, but Milazu in this specific advantage. Shiako Avinu Leva Shalom. So there are all sorts of levels in Yisrael. It's very broad. Just by Kohanim, it's the same thing. There are many different types of Kohanim. Some Kohanim are great people. Some Kohanim are low lives. Some Yisraelim are great people. Some Yisraelim are low lives. Some are the lowest of low. Some are the highest of the high. All the way from the sinners who Chazal say Poshe Yisrael Malaim mitzvahs karimon. They're full of mitzvahs like a pomegranate, even though they're criminals. Still full of mitzvahs. Up to Yaakovinu, whose image is engraved, whatever it means, on the throne of glory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he says the Avo Gerim Iev Shalem Liskos Maas Yisrael. So this is I don't know how this works. It does. I'm not particularly happy with this the type of discussion. Not because it's something which is abstract, and I don't see how it manifests itself in practice. I don't see that it actually is true in practice, all these things. I personally don't see how Kohanim are better than Israelim. I don't see necessarily how one Israel is better than another Israel either. But okay, that we could say that goes by not by some sort of genetic code, not a spiritual genetic code, but rather goes by how they're avodas Hashem. So that's what defines them as one is so higher than another Yisrael. But to see, like he says, that there's a mile of Yisrael which Yisrael has and a Ger Tzedek doesn't have, I don't see how we can find that. I don't see how we can find that manifest in the people. So it remains an abstract concept, which we can talk about, but I don't think there's any practical ramification. And as a matter of fact, in Al HaTzaddik and Al Chasidim, where we mention Gerim, we say Val Gerei Tzedek V'Aleinu. We mentioned the Gerim before we mentioned the rest of Klal Yisrael. So it seems that there's a mile which Gerim have, which the rest of Am Yisrael doesn't have. Okay, but says Tzadok, because this is a genetic spiritual trait, again, if Shalom is close to Maz Yisrael, the Gerim can't get this mile of Yisrael. Since they're not descended from Yaakov. It's like Chazal say, in Avos Rabbeinu, Perek Vav, Apostle B'Shem Yisrael Yichuneh. They're called Yisrael, right? Elu Gerei Tzedek. These are the Gerim Shurak Kamo Kinoi. It's they're called Yisrael below Etzem Hashem, and not the actual name. So again, I have no idea what it means. I really don't know. But as he says that there's the Mila of Yisrael, technically in the abstract, only applies to people who are descendants of Yaakov Avinu, and not to people who are Gerim. Okay. I want to add something else, which is I don't know that there should be a difference, because we judge people based on their accomplishments, not based on whatever potential they have. Perhaps there is this concept that Israel has greater potential theoretically than a Ger, but on the other hand, whatever it means. Again, I don't know what it means, but certainly a ger accomplishes more than Yisrael, should be more worthy of our respect than somebody who just has the name Yisrael. Okay, whatever it means. Umal Hashem Tzaddik Zoch Yosef Tzaddik. Okay, so now Tzaddik makes a bold statement, which is that the mila of the name Tzaddik, Yosef got because Yosef is called Yosef Tzaddik. And he acquired it, and he bestowed it on his children afterwards. That Molech only falls into the hands of the descendants of Yosef. Now, it's not specifically Yosef, because as we saw in the Megillah, Mordechai, who was from Binyamin, also has that Mila. So it's really and also Yosef is called Yosef, and Yom is called Binyamin HaTzaddik. So we have this idea where Yosef and Binyamin are intertwined together. So it's for some reason, they're both children of Rachel, and they both have this trait. But in any event, he says, sort of based on this Yisod, which is going with this this concept that the advantage of the name Tzaddik, Yosef got it, and therefore only the descendants of Yosef have this advantage that they're great. They have this level of Tzaddik, which is the Midah, which is going to defeat Amalek, and it goes down to their descendants. And it's related to the statement Chazal, Bazar the Yosef lo shalta nebisha, that in the descendants of Yosef there is no Ein Hara. There's no Ein Hara against the descendants of Yosef, because since Yosef himself was such a great tzaddik that he was able to transcend and go beyond anybody else's attempt to impose an Ein Hara on him. And Yaakov mentions this in his bracha, Ben Paras Ale Ayin. Right? He transcends, he goes against Ein Hara, so therefore that goes down to his children after him. It says all of Am Yisrael tzaddikim. So that's going to be similar to what we said before about Gerei Tzedek. Gerei Tzedek are called Yisrael, even though they're not part of that actual Shem Yisrael. They're called Yisrael. So all Jews are called tzaddikim. Although here it seems to be more intrinsic. In other words, by the game, it sounded like what was extrinsic. They're not really Yisrael, but they're called Yisrael. Here it sounds like other Jews are also tzaddikim, but the primary line of Tzidkas and Am Yisrael has to do with Zara de Yosef. Okay, now there's another point here which has to be made, which again, this piece of Tzadok, like I said, doesn't make me happy. I'm saying that again for the number of times I'm saying it, but because by now, because all the Shvatim got mixed together over time, everybody's descended from Yosef, everybody's descended from David, everybody's descended from everybody. So unless you have a person who is a ger, who's somehow had no Jewish ancestors, which is possible, I guess, but or at least no halakhically Jewish ancestors. So everybody's descended everybody because everybody intermarried over time. And we know that traits don't just come down for the father's side. It doesn't be son after son after son. Traits come down to the mother's side as well. You find that numerous times that the traits are attributed both to the mother's side and both the father's side and his tribe and the mother's side and her tribe. So therefore, it's hard to say that whatever level one comes from being part of a shevet doesn't apply to everybody nowadays, because everybody's descended from all shvatim. But so I don't know what to do in practice with this Reb Tzadok. Maybe we'll develop it later on. We'll find something. The Shem Chassid, but he going on, he says the name of Chassid, Zocha David HaMelech Alav Hashem. David HaMelech got the name of Chassid, and Tolov, and he took it for his descendants. Chen Zar the David Achra, based David Levad. Okay, whatever that means. Again, there are many people who are Chassidim who we don't know that they're descended from David. We don't know anybody who's descended directly from David nowadays, because all the lists of genealogies which we have come through Rashi. And Rashi only had daughters, so therefore we don't know that anybody comes directly from Beis David anymore, because we don't know where the husbands of Rashi's daughters, what shvatim they were from. So if you have, so theoretically, according to what you're saying, you only should have Hasidim today, not talking about Hasidim, the group of called Hasidim, but talking about really pious people if they come from the house of David, but clearly that's not true. So again, I don't know what to do if I haven't said this again yet, say it again. With this Tzadok. With Levi Zachal Shem Tor. Levi has the idea of Tor. I don't know what he's referring to, or Levi is called Tor, but somehow the name Tor is attributed to Levi Zarachra. Varan Zaro Achrav and Aaron and his descendants after them. L'Shem Kadosh. They get the name Kadosh. I am Zoresh Korach. I guess Zohar there speaks about why Levi is called Tor and Kohanim are called Kadosh. Chen Shar Malus. And the other advantages also the greats of the generation got and bestowed upon their descendants. Moshe Rabbeinu Lev Hashem Zochel Malas HaTorah B'Chochma. Moshe Rabbeinu got the tremendous mile of Torah and Chochma. L'Shein Talmid Chacham. But and he got the name of a Talmid Chacham, of course. For Lo Zochel Asar Achrav. But that Moshe Rabbeinu did not bestow specifically on his children. Moshe Amru Azal Chazal say, and this is not the Pashup Shah in this medrash which he brings down here. The Pashup Shah in the medrash is Shabika Shini Nothing Kedusol Zaro that he wanted his greatness as a leader to go down to his children. But here, the way Reb Tzadok is learning it, he wanted his greatness as a Talmid Chacham to go specifically to his children, which is not the simple meaning in the Medrash. And I'm not even sure that Reb Tzadok is learning that Shana Medrash either, but just treating that as part of the request. And Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't granted that there wasn't this unique genetic character, spiritual genetic character, which was given to his descendants. The Lonas wasn't given. The Talmidei Chachamim, it's not prevalent that they're children of Talmidei Chachamim. So, in other words, Talmidei Chachamim is something which HaKadosh Baruch Hu left open. In other words, many milas, many advantages went down to the children and the descendants of the original person to get that milah, but not Talmidei Chacham. As a matter of fact, on the contrary, very often the son of a Talmid Chacham doesn't want to be a Talmid Chacham, or is not capable of being a Talmid Chacham. HaKadosh Baruch Hu designed it that way, because Torah is supposed to be democratic. Just like in a society which has aristocracies, right? There are some things which are the aristocracies or the royalties have specific traits, and then there are other traits which are open to anybody to acquire. So to an Am Yisrael, according to Rebbe Tzadok, there are certain types of royalties and aristocracies which exist, but Torah is the great democratizer. Right? Torah, anybody can acquire Torah. That's why they say Kesed Torah Munach Lakol. Kesed Torah, the crown of Torah, is there resting open for everybody to get. L'chein Nikra Moshe Av b'Torah. There Moshe is called a father in Torah, even though didn't go down literally to his children. Right? Af Shein Lebanav, even though it doesn't go down to his actual children. Ayin Perik Beis the Brachos, Ein Kohen Avos Chulei, Imirachel v'Chulei, Ayin Sham. So it's theoretically shouldn't be called an Av because the Avos is what you call the three Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They don't call Moshe Rabbeinu an Av. But so what does it mean? We really should see what but it says the Megillah Daf Yud Gimel. Just a second. Just gonna bring it up here. So there it says it says about there's a pasuk where it talks about Moshe Rabbeinu and Divrei Yomim. It could give and Moshe Rabbeinu had many names, and he's called Avi Zanoach. So He's Ab b'Torah, Ab b'Chachma, Ab b'Nevius. So he was father of Torah, father of Chachma, father in Nevuah. So there, Tzadok said it's not to be taken literally. It's not like what says the Avos by Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Because by Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, let's find that Gemara, Brachas, after Zion. There's Anchor Avos of the Shloshim, Anchor Amos of the Arba. There are only four Avos and three Avos and four Amos. Uh, uh, he says the reason because we don't know what Shevet we're from, so therefore we don't call the Shvatim Avos, only Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So obviously the Tzadok is bothered here by how come it says in Megillah that Moshe Rabbeinu is an Av. We don't know from which we only call Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov Avos, and not the Shvatim because they don't know which Shevet we're from, and if we come from Rachel or from Leah. So Raku Av should be so that's when Moshe Rabbeinu is called an Av. It's not literally an Av, not a genealogical father, but the father in the sense that a Rebbe is a father. Like when Eliyahu Navi stayed up to Shemaim. So Elisha said about him, Avi Rechav Yisrael Parasha, my father, the chariot of Israel and its horsemen. So so there's this idea of which is the idea of being by Moshe Rabbeinu, the idea of being like the patron, like being the origin, but other people can acquire that level of, so to speak, that being children of Moshe Rabbeinu by being students of his, like the students are called children. Okay, so the b'chalukas mishpachos hashvatim shebetorah, and the division of families of shvatim and Torah, k'fi b'chalukas ha'mailos, is based on the division of the levels, the advantages. That the father, each and every family took. It took for his children after him. From this we have divisions of groups. And there are some people who have this midah, and some people they have this midah, and others want other midos. There's a sort of a fascinating thing, and perhaps this is the only thing we can take out of this piece, which is that since there's this division into different groups, and there's this genealogical spiritual division, genetic spiritual division, so therefore different groups have different milas, and they look for different milas, and they look for different midos, look for different advantages, look for different traits. And we should see that if somebody appreciates a different trait than ourselves or wants a different trait, it probably is because it comes out of that group. And that group of that Shevet, or that even not Shevet, but of course could be any time in history that there was a person who had this tremendous inclination towards this thing and therefore established that pattern in his children after him. That is that continues on to the next generation. Okay, and it continues on for all generations. And meaning that each approach has its own validity. Each approach has its own focus, its own validity. And if somebody else didn't focus, we should appreciate, okay, that's his genetic spiritual makeup. It's not my genetic spiritual makeup. We should each work together and complement. Compliment doesn't mean bestow praise, but help each other out. Okay, Sama Gimel short, and it continues on this idea. Let's do Sama Gimel. Habanim damim le'ein. On the other hand, their children are like their mother, right? So it says that if you want to check out how your children are going to be, look at the girl you're going out with. Look at her brothers, because your children are going to be like your wife's brothers. Okay, so it says, but it also says, you should marry the daughter of a Talmid Chacham. If he die after you die, then she's going to raise her children properly. On the other hand, if you're a Talmid Chacham, it doesn't guarantee anything. Right? It says your children are not going to be Talmid Chacham, like we just saw. That the Talmid Chachamim aspect doesn't go through the father, goes through the mother. It says, Ben Seal, a foolish son, to Gasi Mo, causes sorrow to his mother. V'laviv, not his father. Okay, so it's a fascinating thing. It says that if you want, you're more likely to have children if your wife is the daughter of Talmid Chacham, if your wife appreciates Chachma, because that type of connection comes specifically through the mother and her dedication, and she's the one who raises the children with that value. That's by males, says Tzadok, but it says in the Kavos, your daughters, Damoslav. The daughters are like the father. Shazel Maus Bas Talmid Chacham. And that's why it's good to marry the daughter of a Talmid Chacham, because she gets her traits from the father. So Kamash Kasim Anita, Tala Kasim Escharim in the Kavos Escharim. The males get their traits from the females, and the females get their traits from the males. So it's an interesting thing, which himself doesn't really explain so well. But this idea that the children go after the opposite parents in terms of their traits. It's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu designed the world, and I guess the reason is because the drive. I don't know, not sure why. That's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu designed it. I don't know exactly why. So it could be that there's too much friction between father and son and mother and daughter, and therefore they connect to the other side. Okay. So nevertheless, mothers and daughters have a special connection. It's true. And the daughter is usually by the mother. So in terms of her habits, where she spends her time, she's going to be similar to her mother. The Tzadok says, not like I said before, that the genetic traits, the daughter is more similar to the father, and the sons are more similar to the mother. In terms of habits and picking up the way they live, so the mother or the daughter also picks it up from the mother. Moshe says, the female follows the female. The female sheep follows the female sheep. So too, if you marry a woman, you check, like we said before, you check her brothers to see what's going on. In any event, he says that the bottom line is whether it's the father or the mother, he was using avos, both for male and female. You can tell things about them and their children. Avos, that which is hidden deep in the hearts of the fathers, becomes revealed in practice in the children. In other words, the father himself can conceal himself. Whatever's wrong with him, whatever's good with him too. He's hiding under whatever layers of behavior he hides it under. But it'll come out in his children. Because that's where he can't put layers of concealment on the children, only himself. So from the children, you can tell about the fathers, whatever traits they had. Now, it doesn't mean if the son is Russia, then the father is a Russia. The son is Tzaddik, the father is Tzaddik. We're talking about character traits, right? The character traits of the father become revealed in the child. Character traits of the mother become revealed in the child. And you can tell what their characters were, even though they themselves tried to hide it, by their children. Not about their choices in life. Choices in life are separate. The traits that have the personalities come out of their children. So Mashu says in Mokeh Alev Sha'avos, Mizgal for money goes clear in the children. Like he says he wrote elsewhere. But Kaki Bauti. And this is the Masorah he has. The Masorah has, whenever he says Kaki Bauti, he got us from his Rebbe, the Ishbitzer. Ki abani me imke leva avos, that the children come from the depths of the hearts of the fathers. Okay, I think we'll stop here for today. That's it. Some of that was already a little bit longer, and we'll leave it for next time. Have a great week.